Welcome back again. In this session, we would like to cover a couple things. Remember we was talking about a chaplain's continuing education? Here's some local opportunities that I'm just going to kind of name you out that you could do. Associated Sponsored Chaplaincy Training. That's where all other chaplains get together. We as chaplains at RMC Hospital, we meet once a month before COVID kicked in. And we would have lunch, and we would sit down, and we would have a speaker. And they would go over, and we would train on different topics of what we need to do, how we need to handle things. Personal protective equipment when we went in certain rooms, isolation rooms, what we needed to do. We would train, and that's one that you can do. Chaplains training sometimes is offered by local churches. Check into that in your area. See if there's any churches that have update on chaplain training. To help other chaplains out, what they do. Being able to sit down and talk to them, learn from their experience, training from churches. College counseling and listening courses. You can get on some college courses that are free. If you can find some that has to do with counseling or listening, how to be a better person, take these classes. A lot of times I will go, and along with my studies, I will go to Dallas Theological Seminary. They have free classes on the books of the Bible. You sit right in the classroom for about 8 weeks with the professor, just like you're at college. You can see the answers, you can see the questions, you can do that. You can continue your education. It's always good to do that. Like I said, down the line, God willing, we will have extra classes up on this website for you to study, biblical studies, different things to do, classes on marriage, classes on what we need to do. There will be different speakers at different times putting these classes on. You can come back here and you can take them classes. They will be free. Volunteer chaplain service with a career chaplain. We talked about this. If you find a career chaplain, go spend some time with him. Walk in his shoes. A lot of these you'll find at hospitals. We have one, Jim Wilson is our career chaplain, does a great job. A lot of this time you will find chaplains go to assisted living homes. It's a good chance to learn to listen to people, talk to people, and do things. You can go with them. Ask them if you can tag along. Learn from them. Stay in the background. Learn what they do. It may help you. Trauma training through your local emergency management agency. It's not a bad thing to do. Learn how to handle yourself in trauma training. And what I mean by this is a lot of times in a trauma or disaster, it is usually fire-based or government-based or somebody's in charge. But most likely you're going to see something you never heard of. It's called an instant command system. You have an instant commander. The first person on scene becomes the instant commander to a higher person ranking can relieve that person. So let's just say you have a disaster where the paramedics show up and they're working on it. Then they call out the fire department. Okay, the fire department sends in their chief. He takes over the instant commander. Then the emergency management agency comes in. And then they make him the battalion chief over fire services and EMS. And they take over because they're government trained. They have more training. So give these classes and find out where you be at. A lot of times you'll report and say, hey, I'm chaplain so-and-so. If you come up to a fire scene, it'd probably be a deputy director, not the commander, say, hey, I'm glad you're here. We need you to go over to triage, or we need you to go over here. And that's where we will start sending you from. So you will go there. You might meet up with other chaplains, other ministers, and what you're doing, and they will tell you what they need to do. Remember, you're in a disaster scene, so they want to know exactly where you're at, accountability. So when they send you somewhere, they know you come back when you're trying to help. So you want to get with your local EMAs. A lot of times they have online courses of how to do with this. But most places have an emergency management agency. See if you can take some classes there to better help your chaplaincy when you're in a disaster working with them. Like I said, distant learning courses. Look on the internet, see what else you can get. Annual conferences. Do you have an annual chaplain conference? Can you find one close to where you're at? And I'm not saying right there in your hometown. Can you find one that you can drive to and you can take a weekend off and you can go? Believe me, if you go to one of these, there's a lot of great training on being a chaplain and what you do. And there'll be a lot of scenario based of how to handle situations. You will learn how to do that. Internships, we already went over that. Local church volunteers. You can volunteer at local church chaplain training. You take advanced chaplain courses. Now, this right here is a basic chaplain course that the Institute of Theological Studies is putting on. Yes, you will be certified at the end of it if you pass your test and do everything, and you will be able to do what a chaplain can do. This is a basic setup. It's not a master's chaplain's course. It's not an advanced chaplain's course. So you can continue your education by doing that. You can look for one of them and go ahead and take that course. Disaster Relief Chaplains Training Course. That's a good course through your EMA that you need to do. So this takes care of basically on this section, a chaplain's continuing education. Now, we're going to go shortly over the common practice of domestic violence. You don't want to be in on this, but you're going to end up on it. Nobody wants to be in on domestic violence. So we need to know how to handle domestic violence the best we can as chaplains. In 1979, psychologist Lenore Walker found that many violent relationships follow a common pattern cycle. The entire cycle may happen in one day, or it may happen over a period of time. It's different for every relationship, and not all relationships follow cycles. Okay, let's go over these cycles real quick. All right, tension building phase. Tension building. Something went wrong. Somebody's getting angry. They're not at the state right now, but they're getting angry. Let's take a break, and I will get back to this. Thank you.